Your membership keeps SDPB free for everyone, with help from...
Gosh, it was maybe 3 years ago that our network outages started costing us business. So we called SDN.
SDN?
They rallied their team, got to work, and we were up and running by the end of the next business day.
You were just up and running.
Yep, like a dream.
Cody Yellowstone. Forged by nature. Founded by outsiders. Treasured by those who keep it wild. Cody Yellowstone. Wild.
ReliaBank is a trusted partner that is here to help your business succeed. Our bankers will work to understand your business and financing needs and will tailor solutions for your current and long-term objectives. ReliaBank, a brighter banking experience since 1920.
This is a production of SDPB.
The family of Eli Ricard was the first to settle on a homestead in Prairie Township in what is now Union County. A small town sprang up and Ricard called it Paris. He named it after his French heritage. Well, Mr. Ricard operated a Paris post office from the frame house he built on his homestead. But that all changed when a city was officially plotted out in 1873. You see, German steel for the railroads and English money to pay the bills was behind much of the development that took place in northwest Iowa and southeastern Dakota Territory. And the town Ricard called Paris, well, that changed too. It changed to Beresford. It was named in honor of Lord Charles Beresford, an admiral in the British Royal Navy. His English money invested in railroads came with a little perk to have a town named after him. Beresford was formally incorporated July 12, 1884. As far as Admiral Lord Charles Beresford, well, he never paid a visit. Today, Beresford is a charming small town that straddles the border between northern Union and southern Lincoln counties. Beresford has always been kind of a crossroads. It's a peaceful, picturesque place that boasts a rich history that's evident in the historic buildings and landmarks. So, let's have a look around. Welcome to Dakota Life, and greetings from Beresford.
This episode of Dakota Life is supported by our members. Thank you. With corporate support from First Dakota National Bank. First Dakota has supported the dreams of families, businesses, and communities for over 150 years, with personal, business, and ag banking solutions for every stage of the journey. And by Fiesta Foods in Beresford, family-owned and operated and proud to serve the Beresford area with freshness and variety, with everyday essentials and special orders, and a full-service deli with home-cooked meals. Fiesta Foods, local goodness.
From French fur traders in Lewis and Clark, it seems people have continually been traveling through this area. Some of them stop and put down roots, but the rest just keep moving on. In the spring of 1883, the growth of farming inspired some to establish businesses here in Beresford. One of the first structures was a saloon built and operated by D.C. Choquette. It was destroyed by fire later on. The J.W. Reedy residence was believed to be the first home built in Beresford. Pioneers and businesses kept on coming. As the century turned, the main thoroughfare from north to south was U.S. Highway 77, and at its height, you could have traveled from northeast South Dakota through Beresford all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. But in South Dakota, 77 was decommissioned in the 1960s. You see, the brand new Interstate 29 ran parallel, and in some cases less than a mile away. But not to worry, the old 77 roadway is still there. In fact, a local economist at the time said that I-29 was the best thing that could have ever happened to Beresford. You could easily get somewhere and get back home. But while we're here, we're going to visit a Beresford man who amassed a world-class vinyl record collection. We're going to see how the heritage of that old Highway 77 still echoes through a collection of restored vehicles. But first, Now, all of you who enjoy jogging along the roads or trails during the summer, you can actually start your season early, in early February, as a matter of fact. It's Beersford's annual Frostbite 4 road race.
Every February, people flock to Beersford for a one-of-a-kind winter extravaganza that's called the Frostbite 4. This unique event brings out the locals and those from around the area to compete in either a 4 or 2 mile run with one common goal: to have some fun.
We are just getting some fresh air and exercise. Yeah,
This is a tradition, and this is the tradition. First time for both of us to do the 2 mile walk. I normally run.
yeah, first for me. You know, it's much nicer than I was thinking it would be, so it's good. It's refreshing.
And while a lot of the participants are from Beersford, there's quite a few who are not.
I actually ran, my first race ever was the first Frostbite 4. So I have been running for almost 26 years. I haven't done every race here, but I wanted to be here for the 25th. My lips are cold.
This year's event was bigger, as it was the 25th year anniversary. The race started with participants boarding buses and getting driven to the starting line. The race then brought people back into town towards the finish line at the high school.
It's always been a good turnout. This always brings in a lot of people, and it's just so much fun. I see people that I know here sometimes just once a year, and we meet up here, so it's just always so fun.
The weather was good.
It was good?
Oh yeah, it felt great.
There's also a kids race as well.
It was cool.
It was kind of cold. You cold still?
Yeah.
Afterwards, there's a soup dinner with awards. But it's the bond that people create and the good cause of raising money for the Beersford Booster Club that keep people coming back.
We've been running the Frostbite ever since I have been running the Frostbite ever since it started every year. And my son Caden is also running it with me. He's been running it what?
Then 5 years.
Probably more people. And I don't know, I guess it's getting harder for me, but
It's more than just a race. It's an event that involves numerous people of South Dakota coming to Beersford in the middle of winter. It's the fun of it that keeps bringing back people year after year.
For us, it's an hour.
I'm from Mount Vernon, South Dakota, so it's about a 2.5 hour drive for us. It's a great run. It's awesome. I love it. So.
The Frostbite 4 gives a real economic boost to the Beersford Athletic Boosters. The community also used to enjoy another boost, and this from an entertainment landmark created in 1926. It's a couple of miles south of Beersford. Mike Mullencourt realized there was a spot along Highway 77 that was centrally located to many small surrounding communities, and it was ideally situated for a ballroom. The Ritz Ballroom boasted a 6,000 square foot dance floor. The Ritz had a capacity of about 800. But on special occasions, you might find as many as 5,000 people attending. Dancers, well, they came from all around the area to hear big bands. Lawrence Welk played the Ritz many times. But the biggest draw ever came in 1931. That's when the internationally known Bricktops played at the Ritz. The Bricktops were a 14-girl band made up entirely of redheads from New York. And on that night, all redheaded dancers were admitted free. Well, since we're talking about music history of sorts, let's have a visit with a Beersford man who helped keep music history alive.
In a little cabaret in a South Texas border town sat a boy and his guitar, and people came from miles around, and all the girls from here to Vermilion were slipping away.
For Ed Westberg, music has always been a part of his life.
Well, my mother was a musician, and she insisted that my sisters and I start taking piano lessons when we were in the first grade. I wasn't too excited about it, but I did. the music teacher, she retired after 4 years, so I didn't play the piano anymore. I just know how to play some chords. But I got interested in music and just sat in the basement of the house over here and learned how to play the guitar by myself. And
Chances are you've seen Ed on stage with his old band, performing at wedding dances, or just strumming his old guitar at the local nursing home.
that's that. I didn't do the last verse. I had enough trouble with the first two.
But his appreciation for the art form goes much deeper than just playing.
So I built this, and if I'd have known I was going to have as much music as I have, I probably would have built it bigger, because I have a lot of music that isn't in here. It's down in an old building called an old hog house that I got about 9,078 records, and I got over 60,000 altogether. So I got a lot of 8-track tapes and cassette tapes, and I just kept on collecting. Plus I got some of these little records here made in around 1905 and 1906. I didn't even know they made records like that, especially back in those days. I got a lot of them. So like I say, when you get to collecting, you find out a lot of things.
This vast collection is centered around many things, but one of them being the king of rock and roll himself.
Heard Elvis Presley once, and I thought that was cool, so I just started liking music. Got a lot of tapes, even playing cards of Elvis. Down there's a bunch of 8 tracks of Elvis. And this was a promotional song, not to mention record, not to be sold, so that's worth a little bit more. I have 145 different Elvis albums. Like I said earlier, he made several of them after he died. I don't know how he did that, but he did. But Memphis paper when Elvis passed away.
What was that day like when Elvis passed away?
Well, to me, it was a sad day. I don't know what it was for anybody else, but I was doing something around here and had the radio on, and I heard it, and I felt so bad when it happened, but he was only, what, 42, 43 years old, and he passed on. It's too bad.
Music may be the centerpiece, but Ed's got many sports items, including a sports piece that stars South Dakota's most famous newsman.
I was a freshman in high school, and Beersford played Yankton in the State 8 regional tournament. We were Class A because there was only 2 classes there, and we were one of the 32 bigger ones at that time. And he had his book out, and he wrote in there when he was in high school, he was so looking forward to go playing in a tournament, and in some small town, he said, beat him and upset him, and a guy by the name of Joe Thorne, who played quarter, was so tough on him. And so I went to that tournament, and being like the rest of my family, I didn't throw anything away, so I still had the program of when we played Yankton that year. And he had a book signing deal at Barnes & Noble in Sioux Falls. So I took my program up there, and when I got in line and when I got to me, I just pushed that program in front of him. He looked up at me and he said, that was a terrible game. And I said, no, March 7th was my birthday, and I played. So he autographed it, and so I got the program, and Tom Brokaw was playing basketball in high school. So.
Ed's passion for music, whether he's playing or collecting.
Watergate, Washington, D.C. He got a matchbook from Watergate.
Shows his passion for life.
It just means to me that people can have different hobbies. I just love it. When I look at all those things, because I was a young person, and I've seen the Everly Brothers when they were still alive, and I got their sheet music, and Ricky Nelson's, and all kinds of different people, and it just makes me happy when I come out and see it. So that's it.
One of the things I find unique about a town the size of Beersford is the large amount of public green space. It goes right through the middle of town. Now, forward-thinking planners established Bulow Park and its anchor, the Rock Wall Outdoor Amphitheater. Now, the park has continued to evolve over the past 60 years. It has a modern swimming pool and water park. There's outdoor recreation areas like a playground, disc golf, pickleball, and basketball courts, and there are several baseball and softball fields on the north end of town. Plus, there's a challenging updated 9-hole golf course. Since homesteading times, education has been high on the priority list for Beresford. The library has been ranked between 4 and 5 stars by Library Journal magazine, one of the few libraries in South Dakota to achieve that status. The ranking is determined by usage, budgets, and other criteria. Established in 1923, the Beresford Public Library provides a summer reading program with special events on Tuesday and Thursday nights in June and July. Now, Glendon Knutson farmed near Centerville. His love to restore old cars to the way they looked originally was sparked in high school, and that love has continued for 60 years. He's kept most of them, so when he and Mary moved to Beresford, they needed a place to show them off.
Well, you know, when we sold our acreage, we lived on the farm. He lived on the farm for 70 years. We actually had a lot of these cars in a machine shed, but it was kind of a machine shed / museum. Warehouse. Then when we moved to Beresford, he said, oh, wow, you know, I have to have a place for my cars. You know, thus came this museum.
In the museum here, this is free. We don't charge, we don't want to charge people for coming because I enjoy this museum of just being able to see what I have. Whereas I couldn't do that on the farm. I can look around and, oh man, that's kind of nice, and this is nice. I enjoy that, plus I enjoy visiting with the people that come.
It's the old Highway 77 Museum. It's on the southwest corner of Beresford. In fact, a corner of the old roadway would have gone right through where the building stands now. But first, let's go back to the beginning.
My dad taught me at a young age mechanics. We were building things with torches and welders, and when I was in high school, my brother was dating a girl from Irene that her dad lived out by the Jim River, and so he had a lot of antiques, and he had 2 Model T Fords. One was a 27 and one was a 1925. And he decided that he was going to give one to my brother, but then he didn't want to leave me out, so he gave each of us a Model T.
So I knew right from the beginning, you know, what I was getting into. And it's been good ever since. You know, it's been a fun hobby for both of us.
All of the cars here are road ready, and they've toured them all over the country and in Australia. Mary and her daughter Jill have decorated the museum from mannequins to signage, while Glendon restores vehicles back to their showroom days.
Fords and Chevys, which are 2 of the more common cars, there are people that reproduce a lot of parts for those cars. Okay. So they actually make it a lot easier to restore. But when you get into a Dodge pickup like behind me here, there isn't anything made for that truck, and it was rusted out terrible. I spent hours and hours manufacturing fenders. I have to manufacture the tool to make the part. Sometimes that takes longer than manufacturing the part.
And with all the cars he's restored, Glendon can tell you
that is true. They don't make them like they used to. This car that's right next to us here weighs almost 5,000 pounds. And a lot of it's unnecessary poundage. It's just the fact that they were, I don't know if they were trying to build a tank or what they were trying to build, but it's extremely heavy. So comfort-wise, I can say yes, this car probably floats over the road better than our cars today. They built them quiet, but to drive this car, there's no power steering, there's no power brakes, so it drives like a truck.
But the joy of these cars is not about the destination, it's been about the journey for Mary and Glendon. And it will continue until...
Oh, if Glennon goes first, the funeral's at 10 in the morning, the auction's at 2 in the afternoon.
Old Highway 77 used to make a gentle curve over the land where the museum is located now. In fact, if the roadway were still there, it would go right through the middle of the building. Lawrence "Tiny" Lawrenson was remembered for his promotion of baseball. In July 1984, a ceremony dedicated the big baseball field to the name of Tiny Lawrenson. Tiny managed, umpired, and donated time and effort in helping renovate the field. And now, when the lights are shining on a summer night, it means there's a home game in Beresford. Many towns this size have a few things in common: community, caring, and a desire to rebuild the downtown area. Beresford is no different. We're going to meet some young business owners creating a community.
There wasn't a lot of really anything to do down here. I can't remember. Pretty much everything that was open wasn't even downtown, so we always had to go to the other side of town, which, isn't far, but there wasn't really anything fun to do, downtown, anywhere to go, hang out.
I can remember there was a little shoe store, and then there's a fabric store in town. There have always been the banks and the gas stations and the lawyers' offices.
There wasn't a lot for younger people, really. Not somewhere you could just hang out or stay or meet a friend or anything.
The vitality of Main Street in many rural communities have ebbed and flowed over the years. 3rd Street in Beresford is no different. There are memories of movie theaters, 3 grocery stores, and even clothing stores.
You realize how important your businesses are in town and how much, how wonderful it is to have a grocery store in town.
It's when the community came together to make improvements that sparked a new sense of purpose.
So in about 1997, there was a kind of a coffee group that met, and one of the coffee members said, there is not any type of entity in Beresford where people can give money to go back to the community or the school.
That's how the Beresford Area Community Foundation began. They started by funding a need.
Starting out with $150,000 in that fund in the first 5 years. And their very first gift was to get a child care center to come to Beresford. So at that time they had some governor's houses that they worked with Governor Janklow on, and they were able to get a house to come here to Beresford for our first daycare, and I think they ended up getting 2 houses total.
In the last 25 years, they've granted $500,000 for everything from library programs to team jerseys to preservation of historic places. Norland says this past year, they had to be more selective because there were more grant requests than funds. 2 new businesses on the main drag were also in response to a need for the community. The Cava Rose Brew House has been open since October of 2023. Michaela and Carson Johnson wanted to create a kind of place that they wished they had growing up in Beresford.
I think a little creativity, keeps things from dying.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty awesome because there's loads of creativity here and there's plenty of space. It's a blank canvas.
Yep. It's kind of what we're working with right now is room for more. But when it comes to starting a business in a town like Beresford, where it's small and everyone knows you, you kind of want to bring more of a support to each other, else nothing's going to work.
Next door is the Cream and Sugar Coffee Shop. It's been open a couple of years, and the co-owners say they have created community here.
Everyone here is family. Anyone who comes in is family. Everyone who works here is family, even if they're not their family. We become a part of their lives through their coffee, which is really cool. We know their kids, we know their siblings, we know when their grandkids are coming, if it's a girl or a boy, where they're from, why they're here now. It's cool.
Both the Atwoods and the Johnsons say there's room for more entrepreneurs to join their community of business owners and create community together. Because even though they might bring new things to Beresford, it's still a small town.
I think if everybody
puts forth their best effort, kind of like we have, I think that you can see something really special start to bloom.
You can't ride the railroad in and out of Beersford anymore, but there was a time when even the local baseball teams would get on board and travel to an away game in Centerville, Alcester, Canton, or one of the other communities on the rail spur. The roadways have replaced those rails, and Beersford is now at the intersection of I-29 and South Dakota Highway 46. While many residents are employed with growing industries in town like Sioux Steam, Hendricks Genetics, Slumberland, or Prinsco, many others telecommute via the fiber optic connections here. But some do make their way to Vermilion, Yankton, and Sioux Falls, but come home from work each day to enjoy the parks and public spaces or catch the Beersford Watchdogs on the quarter field. In 2016, Hollywood came to Beersford to produce Wild Prairie Rose, a film set in about 1952 where a woman, Rose Miller, returns to her rural hometown to care for her ailing mother. The movie was shot in 3 weeks at Carol Korsner's farm. Many residents helped coordinate that movie, and some can be seen in the final cut of the film. During the production, many of the actors stayed at the Bulow House, a historic home built by former South Dakota Governor and Beersford resident William J. Bulow. Well, we hope you've enjoyed your visit to Beersford. You can see more stories from this corner of the state on our website, and you can replay or click and share this program or other episodes featuring other communities around South Dakota. You can do that at sdpb.org/Dakota Life. Thank you for watching. From northern Union County, along the route of Old Highway 77 and its high-speed replacement next door, I'm Larry Rohr. For all of us at SDPB, thanks for coming along for the ride.